What's happening, everybody, and welcome back to the live stream. We, as you guys are aware, skipped last week because I was in Texas celebrating my parents' 40th wedding anniversary, which was cool. But we're back at it, and it's been an exciting week because our power went out at the very end of last week. We got some pretty severe storms through Thursday. We lost power Thursday, probably about 10:30 at night, and we just got power back last night around 8:30. So I have been in a mad scramble. I was doing a bunch of stuff to the studio here, switching out computers and everything, since, as you guys are aware, the live stream with Shane 2 weeks ago, we had some technical issues. I think that was mostly related to the fact that I had a super old computer trying to do everything. So I have switched the computers around so that we can try that whole dual live stream session again, and we will do that here in the near future, and hopefully it will go smoother. But again, it's going to be another experiment. So anyway, there's a little recap on life. Let's go over to the comments here. Brandon, how's it going? Thanks for showing up, brother. I appreciate you. Ryan, what's going on? What's new is we have power back finally, and that's exciting. I'm very happy about that because we have running water, which is awesome. Brandon, we're going to try to wrap up right around 9 o'clock my time, so hour and a half, if that's not too long for you, my man. JJ, what's happening? Oh, my little monitor's dying here, and it's very distracting. Sorry. JJ, what's happening? Thanks for showing up, man. Appreciate you. Coles Farms, how's it going, my friend? E. Ryan, I'm just going to call you Ryan. Is it E. Ryan? What does the E stand for? You got me all confused. But what's happening, buddy? Thanks for showing up. I appreciate you guys. So to kind of answer all of your questions about how was the week, the recap and everything, as I was just talking about, power went out. It's been kind of a miserable back end of the week. I'm fairly confident we have fried our dishwasher and possibly a couple fans on our refrigerator. So now we're doing the mental math on, is it worth it to try to get those fixed, try to fix them ourselves, or just go for a new refrigerator? So that's a fantastic thing that I've been dealing with today. Nick, what's happening, my man? How is the Great White North up there? Colton, any JCBs? No JCBs. Well, I take that back. I did see a couple JCBs, but I did not operate any because I refused to do that. I don't refuse. I'm not going to go out of my way to go operate a JCB somewhere. So, yeah, that's where we're at with that. Dig Nation, what's happening, my man? It's Andrew. No, it's not. It's Matt. I'm sorry. I'm having a brain fart out the wazoo tonight because let me just calm myself down, take a few deep breaths here. Basically, I have gotten a bunch of cables. My main computer and my office is directly above me upstairs. And so what I did is, instead of buying or trying to build a whole new computer to have a beefy machine down here, what I did was just said, I'll run a bunch of cables down from my computer upstairs and use this as like a second little workstation. So that is what I've spent the afternoon doing. But then I had to get all of the broadcasting software that I'm using to live stream this whole thing. I had to get all of those settings switched over to this computer. So I have been like mad dash scrambling to get everything set up. So if there's any weird stuff that happens tonight on the live stream, I'm just gonna pre-apologize because I just got through shuffling everything around, and I mean literally just got through. I had enough time to shower and then boom, hit the seat and we were live. So that's where we're at. So all that to say, I'm a little frazzled. I'm sorry, Matt. It is what it is. By the way, Matt, I am appreciating your new videos with the bigger equipment, man. That's awesome. I'm glad you're finally getting into some bigger pieces of iron there. I got the name right. It's E. Ryan. Okay. Got to take a test drive in a brand new 325. Dang, what'd you think of the new next gen 325, Ryan? You've gotten seat time in a new next gen machine before I have. I'm a little jealous, I'm gonna be honest. Brandon, what's the furthest you'd be willing to drive for a daily job? So if it was, and you're gonna have to excuse me, guys, allergies are going nuts because of all the weather stuff happening right now. I'm sorry, that was not attractive what I just did, but you know what? I'm not trying to appeal to any of you guys, so it is what it is. Brandon, the furthest I'd be willing to drive for a daily job, if it was for a work season, so if I was going to be on a job for a season until wintertime, I would say probably right over an hour, maybe an hour and 10 is about the most I'm willing to drive on a daily basis. If we're talking about like, I'm going to go work in a quarry for the rest of my career, I would say about 30 to 45 minutes is about my max of a daily commute for the rest of my life. So it really kind of depends on the circumstances. If it's a temporary job that you're going to be on, you know, for a month or two, you know, I might get closer to that hour and a half mark. But anything over an hour and a half, I'm out. You can find somebody else, or you can put me up in a hotel. Those are your two options. So, Colton, when are you going to get new scale models? When I can afford them, because right now I'm about to go pay for a new circuit board for a dishwasher, which is, believe it or not, I'm getting out of that relatively inexpensive, 140 bucks. And then I'm going to probably spend $400 to $500 on a new refrigerator, new to us anyway, or we might go to Lowe's. I don't know. When it comes to these sort of things, I do whatever my wife wants me to do, and I will spend however much money my wife wants me to spend, because look, we have a very 50s relationship, and she and I are both good with that. She cooks all of our meals. The kitchen is her area. I couldn't tell you where anything is in the kitchen. We constantly joke that if my wife were to die tomorrow, I would probably die along with my children in about 2 weeks when we starve to death. So all of that to say, I'm about to go spend some bank on not only the dishwasher situation, but possibly the refrigerator situation. So new scale models will probably be a month or so out at least. That is true. Brandon has sent me some pictures of JCBs, so I did see a few JCBs this week, but luckily they were all as a result of Brandon's text messages and not because it was dropped on a job for me to run. So Josiah, welcome to the live stream. I don't think I've seen you in here before. What do you think about Volvo excavators? So with all of the Volvo excavators, I can answer that and say I am withholding judgment. I have not physically sat my butt down in the seat of a Volvo excavator yet, believe it or not. I am continuing to try to get into an excavator, a Volvo anyway, but as of yet, I have not sat in one. Now I can tell you from when I sold equipment, operators across the board seem to genuinely love them. Mechanics, for the most part, seem to have the opinion that they were pretty cheaply built. Again, I withhold judgment until I've sat in the seat and I've put it through its paces, and I have not had the chance to do that yet. So I apologize, I can't be more helpful on that one, but that's where we're at. Let's see here. Jackson, what's happening, brother? I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. Now that everything's kind of calmed down, I can woo-saw a little bit. I'm doing okay. I'm hoping, I didn't get a chance to talk to my wife tonight, but I'm hoping she will bring a drink down here shortly because I could use it after this week. It's been a week. Let's see here. Brandon, so I will say this for you, Josiah. Brandon, Nick, there's a couple other guys that will all swear by Volvo. So absolutely rely on those guys when it comes to your Volvo opinions, as opposed to myself, who has not sat in one. Colton's, yes, I have seen pictures. In fact, I almost went down the road of selling one of the Case electric backhoes to a municipality. So yes, I have seen those. I am familiar with them. Not in person, only in pictures and spec sheets. JJ, of all dozers excavators that you have operated, do you think there's one brand that their equipment are what you could call rookie friendly? No, I wouldn't say one particular brand. What I will say is when it comes to dozers and excavators, the larger they are, generally the easier they are to operate. And the reason I say that, let's start with the dozer line. The longer your track base, the more of a fudge factor you have on your blade accuracy. So if you imagine we've got our pin here as our track base, and I have, you know, a little skip where I dipped with my blade a little bit. With this relatively short track base, as I come into that, you're going to get this, you know, wobble and teeter-totter effect on your tracks. On a short track base, it's going to be much more exaggerated than if we were to extend our track base out here, and now that same thing, we can go straight across it and it's going to be nice and smooth, if that makes sense. So the longer the track base, the easier it is to doze, the more fudge factor you have. So larger dozers tend to be more rookie friendly. With excavators, I will say the same thing, only because they tend to move a lot slower, so you have more reaction time. Now the flip side of that is you can do a heck of a lot more damage with a big hoe, and you also have to account for how much weight is in motion and the momentum you are carrying. So it's really easy to overswing when you first get in one of the big machines, because they don't stop on a dime like the little ones do. You've got a lot of weight moving and it takes a lot to slow it down. But because they move slower overall, I would say they are a little more user friendly. You also don't have to be nearly as accurate. If you're grading in a 385 excavator and you make a little dip and you're a couple inches low, I mean, that's perfectly acceptable in a 385, versus if you're in a little like Bobcat E35 and you dip a couple inches low, you really jacked your grade up. So that's the only reason I'll say they're more rookie friendly. But as far as a manufacturer specifically, they're all so close now as far as controls go. It's really a wash in my opinion. So you do 120. Ooh, Lever Monkey. So by the way, Lever Monkey, that's Shane, who we had on here a couple weeks ago. Thanks for hanging out, by the way, Shane. So he's doing an hour and 20 each way. That's rough. That's rough. Jackson, favorite video games. What? We got to narrow this down. So Shane and I actually discussed after the live stream 2 weeks ago that I am quite a nerd, And so we really have to narrow down what genre of gaming are you talking about, because I like Microsoft Flight Simulator. He and I were nerding out over a military combat sim that he plays now. I used to play. Those were really, they're a ton of fun. They're just really labor intensive. They take a lot of your time. I like EVE Online because I go that route too. I'm a super nerd that way. I like the Call of Duty series. They got repetitive, so I haven't been buying the last couple, but I really liked the early Call of Duty series. Oh, what else? Command and Conquer. If you guys aren't familiar with the old Command and Conquer series, fantastic strategy, real-time strategy. So it really just depends on your genre of gaming, Jackson. Let's see here. Ryan, just got to dig some holes for sonotubes, but liked it. It's really quick, sensitive on the controls. Swings really fast though, so overswing. So what machine were you? Oh, that's the 325. I'm sorry. So were you actually digging holes for your sonotubes, or were you? Did you have like an auger on it? Because typically with those sonotubes, you put an auger on there and you get them pretty dang close to what their final dimensions are. But that's interesting that you say it's sensitive. Well, I'm really looking forward to sitting down in one. Colton, are you going to do my request of Down and Dirty on how to use a mini excavator? Eventually. You guys have to understand, when you do video requests, I generally, so that I can supply all of you guys with consistent content, I'm generally anywhere from 2 weeks to a month and a half out in my queue. And so while I say I will get to doing a video, like I could go record that video tomorrow and you wouldn't see it for, I think I'm like 4 or 5 weeks out right now. So, and that's assuming I had the piece of equipment available sitting in front of me. So I also have, like, behind that queue is a queue of topics that I'm wanting to do that I can kind of keep at bay, so that when I get in a mini excavator, I can go, oh, I need to record these 3 Down and Dirties that were requested. So yes, I will get there. It's just not going to be right away. Ryan, cousin didn't like it because he thinks it's too jumpy. Well, so what I would say to that is, from what I understand, I haven't been in one yet, but those next gen machines, you can literally change the sensitivity of every control on that machine. So what I would say is he needs to be a real operator and get into those menus and adjust the machine to his liking, as opposed to just, like, you got to adjust the machine. It's not going to be set factory settings to everyone's liking. So, but I could be wrong. Maybe it's not. I will reserve judgment for now. Josiah, pretty much exclusively run on Volvos and hydraulics. So that, I will say that, Josiah, that's what I've heard about the Volvos, is the hydraulics are exceptionally smooth on those machines. So I'm dying to get in the seat of one. I just haven't had the opportunity to yet. Sebastian, yeah, good to have you, man. Thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. It's been a little bit. Let's see here. Josiah, swear by Volvo. Just wanted to hear your opinion. Like I said, I'm dying to get in one. We've pestered the dealership, the local dealership here, a couple times, and they've been ultimately unresponsive, which it's a whole other story. Whatever. Anyway, I'm trying, buddy. I'm trying. I want to get in one. I really do. I want some seat time in a Volvo, and I want to try a couple different like size ranges too. I wouldn't mind trying like a bigger Mini. One of their mid-size zero swing machines, and then maybe getting into one of like like a 350 size machine. So Hitachi excavators and wheel loaders. Haven't ran a Hitachi loader. The Hitachi excavator I ran was a wheeled machine, so you've already got that going for it as a strike. But it seemed like it was a nice machine. I will say, Nick, if he hasn't commented already, Nick in here absolutely swears by Hitachi. He's trying to get me in one all the time. So, they're good machines from what everyone says. I just don't have much seat time in one outside of that wheeled excavator, and that one I just hated because it was a wheeled excavator. So, opinion on Takeuchi. My opinion is they used to be awesome. They technically still are awesome machines, with the exception of all of the emissions issues that they're having. So yeah, I can't really recommend anyone go buy a Takeuchi right now, because they're having really, and I should say this, as of a year or two ago, they were having really severe emissions issues with their machines. I don't know if that has been resolved yet or not, so take that with a grain of salt. I love their skid steers. We had a CTL. It was a Mustang, which was just a rebadged Takeuchi. Hands down the best skid steer I've ever operated. It was a great grading machine. It was smooth. It was reliable. We would pound on it and it would take it all day long. So the newer machines have really impressed me with their horsepower and their like lifting capacity and everything. I've been really impressed from that standpoint. But again, it doesn't really matter unless you can back it up with reliability. And when you're having the emissions issues that they are, you can't really back it up with that reliability. So, oh, Nick's gonna make me pull out my phone. This better not be a JCB picture, Nick. I'm just telling you right now. It better not be a JCB picture. And it is. It's a JCB backhoe. This is what I get for my subscribers. I pour my heart out to you guys. I get out here. I go live. I make all these videos. And in return, you guys send me a bunch of JCB backhoe pictures. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. Let's see here. Colton, you should play Construction Simulator 3. It has licensed equipment. Huh? Can you hook multiple joysticks up? Because I've thought about that multiple times. It'd be great to have an equipment simulator that would recognize 2 joysticks so you could get the, the actual excavator controls going. Call of Duty is awesome. My favorite video game is Star Wars Battlefront 2. Haven't played any of the Star Wars games. Sean, if you're having trouble with dips or washboard, all you have to do on a dozer that has a 6-way blade is angle, and that would make it. So that is a good point. Absolutely a great point, Sean. So if you angle your blade, it will offset the hoopties so that you kind of ride smoother over the top of them. But that only works if you're in a situation where you can angle your blade and you can lose material off to one side. So that is a rookie way of fudging it. But ultimately the answer is get good, right? You got to get good. You got to develop those skills so that you can move up, or I should say in this circumstance, move down to a smaller dozer and actually still do a good job grading. So, but no, great point, Sean. Let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. Is there such thing as being too reliable? My boss is getting comfortable in calling me in at night. Yes, 100%, Sebastian. We've talked about this, I think, before, where you have to realize that it's not malicious. It's not always malicious, but your employer at the end of the day is only going to look out for your employer. Like, his best interest is making sure that his company has reliable people and that they're making him money. And so, is it his intention to work the snot out of you? Probably not. He's not, cherry picking you that I'm going to work the dog snot out of this guy and he's just going to deal with it. But at the same time, yes, you can be too reliable. You can, and I won't say too reliable. What I will say is you can very quickly turn into saying yes too often and too frequently, to where it becomes kind of, instead of them asking a favor, it's an expectation. And so what I would recommend if you are in that situation, which it sounds like you are, is I would just have a private conversation. You can do it in a really nice way, but say, tell your boss, hey, I appreciate the hours, but at the same time, I would like to see home a little bit more. If there's someone else that you could call in, I'm not opposed to working on the weekends, but at the same time, it's consistently been every weekend, and I would like some time off. And that's going to go one of two ways. Your boss is going to say, hey, no problem, I apologize, I didn't realize that. Or it could go the other way and your boss says, I don't give a shit, you're going to work. Either way, you have a really good answer of what kind of employer you're working for and how you should proceed. If he respects you, obviously stick around. If he doesn't, dude, you're in the job market of a lifetime right now. Go find somebody that's going to appreciate you and negotiate a pay raise. So that's my recommendation there. So Jackson, let's see here. Sorry, I'm getting a little behind in the comments, guys. Give me just a second. Jackson, I don't really want to air that laundry on the live stream. And it wasn't really a firing. It was more of a mutual separation. So we'll just leave it at that. Ryan, we were just digging holes for sonotubes. Feels sensitive because the electric controls, you lose some feeling. So that is one thing going with the electric over hydraulics, is you do lose the feel that you are used to with a traditional pilot system. It is what it is. When I moved to the Cat 938 loader, excuse me, I had started on the Komatsu WA320, and the 320 was pilot controls, and I had ran that for like a year-ish when they finally moved me over to the Cat 938, and I had to totally, for like 2 days, relearn how to grade in that machine, because I was used to getting the feedback in my hand, and it was no longer there. And so I had to kind of retrain my body to where I was using my ass level and the shaking and movement of the machine to figure out if I was taking a proper cut and everything. So you know, it's just one of those things. You got to adapt to the machine. Sometimes that's real quick, sometimes it takes a couple days or a week before you really get comfortable with it. The dancing diggers, I have seen that, Colton, and I will say it is a very impressive like routine that they do. You know, it is what it is. It's a cool routine. Cousin knows old school, didn't want to play around with the grade control either for what we were doing. It wouldn't replay. Yep. So there's a lot of guys that are like that. They just refuse to ever get into the menus. They refuse to ever look at anything outside of like just pulling the sticks. It is what it is. At the end of the day, you're missing out on productivity is what it boils down to. Being a good operator is something that changes over time. How you qualify that. So I think we could all agree that probably 98% of people out there, if you were to put them on one of the old cable driven machines, would be absolutely horrifically atrocious at it and would not be productive whatsoever. Does that mean that we're all bad operators? Well, no, not at all. Likewise, you could take someone that could drive the snot out of that cable machine and they could, you know, really run it well and be really productive. Put them on one of the new D6Ks with this 3D GPS system on it, and if they don't know how to work that system or they don't care to learn how to work that system, well, guess what? You're not the king ding-a-ling operator. So what it means to be a good operator is changing over time. It's going to continue to change as technology evolves, and at some point in time, being one of those old school guys that I refuse to get into the menus, I refuse to even look at that, well, guess what? You're not a great operator anymore, because what it means to be a good operator now means that you do need to get into the menus and you do need to change some settings so that you can be more productive in certain situations. You are going to know how to do offsets, both vertical and horizontal, and you need to know that stuff in order to be a good productive operator. So it is what it is. Doom, Josiah, when you run a John Deere or Cat after running Volvos for a long time, it's like you're underwater with weights on your hands. That's interesting. So now you're making me really want to get into a Volvo, Josiah. I don't know if you came in here and you're getting a commission check for what you're saying, but you're making me, I'm starting to think a little bit. We have an older Takeuchi TB135 excavator and a TL130 skid steer. They both run great. Yeah, the old school Takeuchi stuff was fantastic. I cannot say a bad thing about it. JJ, you've spoken well about Case equipment various times here. Would you take their dozers, excavators over Cats and Deers? There's a nice 650 yellow. It depends on the machine. So I will be honest. I do have a soft spot for Case because I sold for them. I know their equipment really well, and at the end of the day, they've got some really good equipment. Now that being said, there are also some machines, specifically that 650 you're discussing, that I would not take over a Cat, specifically because Case, for whatever reason, has still not switched over to EH controls on their dozers, and I know there's a lot of guys that are out there that really like having that feedback in the hand with the pilot controls. The problem is it is really hard on your wrists, especially with the 6-way blade where you're rotating. I'm not a fan of the pilot controls, and they still have not switched over the controls to EH on those dozers. So that is, sorry, I'm adjusting my volume down just a little bit so it's not peaking. So I would not recommend like their 650, their 850, but once you get over that, when you get into the 1150 and up, I don't like the cab noise. They have very loud cabs compared to the Cats, but when it comes to a grading and pushing machine, it's hard to compete with those Case dozers. They really push, and they grade really nice. When it comes to excavators, I would actually prefer Kobelco over Case. It's not that Case doesn't make nice machines. They are nice. I just think Kobelco has done a couple things better. And Case, Cat, Komatsu, they make excavators, and they're all the same. I'm sorry, I know I took a big long pause there. I'm trying to think of how I want to word this. They all make the same machine at the end of the day. There's nothing that stands out, and it's like, wow, that's really innovative what they've done here. That's what I like about Kobelco, is they've done some really innovative stuff with their machines. They actually have some features and some design things that other manufacturers don't have. And on top of that, they're fast. They're really, really fast machines. The new ones, anyway. I know. Shane is in here, and he wasn't the biggest fan of the older Kobelcos, but I do know those new ones are really fast machines. They've got a lot of power. I really do like those machines. So let me jump back up and figure out where I left off. Woo, I'm getting behind. Dang, guys, you guys are chatting it up. I'm loving it. Dang, I got behind. Let's see here. Now Volvo has a lot of DEF problems though, but who doesn't? So yeah, DEF problems. I will say out of all of the issues to have, DEF problems are the easier ones to fix, as opposed to like with a DPF filter. Those are significantly more expensive. You have a lot more sensors on there, and it's just a lot more complicated. So, So Nick is saying that the JCB is the best backhoe he's ran. We might have to block Nick. I mean, in all honesty, like, those are fighting words. If this were a church, that would be like blaspheming the name of God in the middle of church. And Nick just doesn't have a problem doing that. That's bold. We'll give it to you. That is bold. Sean, Hitachi excavators might be the top of the list. John Deere, same machine, impressive. So I will say this. I have never been overly impressed with a John Deere machine, but I also haven't ran any of their big hoes. But I've gotten all the way through their mid-size line, and none of them have really overly impressed me. So I will withhold since I haven't ran any of the bigger ones. But JCB backhoe, my favorite thing, and I'm not kidding. First machine. Wow, that's 2 for JCB. What is happening in here? Sweet Jesus. We might have to pull the plug early tonight. Ron Nuki, thanks for showing up. I don't think I've seen you in here before. Maybe I'm wrong. Heard anyone complain or having problems with the bucket pin nuts backing off their Deere CTL? All 3 of the last machines. I have not. But that's not to say that it is a problem. That's one of those minutia ones that I probably wouldn't hear about here on the channel. But that's not to say it's not an issue, especially if it's that consistent for you. I would say they've got some sort of an issue. So, construction simulators only on iPad. No, I don't play. See, this is the level of nerd I am. I don't play phone and iPad games. It's like my gaming PC, or I'm not gonna play it. I'm sorry. I do have my nose in the air. Let's see here. Side shift, yes. Okay, back and forth. What's happening, Steeler Thug? I don't think I've seen you in here either. Thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. So true. Have to hold your value. I'm gonna try the 6x6, bro, so I can get this project done. Probably gonna pry the wood though. No idea what you're talking about. Louisiana, what are you talking about with the 6x6? I'm lost. I don't know what you're referring to. Not a fan of the US backhoe because you can't get close to the walls. I was getting paid $16.50 this summer. Was asking for a raise because I was fixing the tires on the cats as well. Oh, yeah. I would not be fixing any of that stuff for $16.50 an hour. No, you can go get your road tech to do that, or you can call the tire guy. I ain't doing that for $16.50 an hour. Anyone here, chat, that works at a dealership? I've been doing construction videos on my channel. Colton, are you trying to get? I'm confused here. Are you trying to get a sponsorship in the middle of the live stream for your channel? Josiah, let's see here. Colton, where are we at here? What was your opinion on the high-speed dozer when it came out back in the day? That's a good question. So I was like fine with the high-speed dozer. I thought it was a cool machine. But the more I thought about it, as I watched people operate it in all of these demonstration videos, what I kept coming back to is like, when would you use this? When would you be in the situation where you think, oh God, if only this dozer would do like 15 miles an hour, we could be done with this job? I've never found myself in that circumstance. Like generally, if you're running third gear in a dozer or top speed on one of the hydrostat machines, like you're carrying some speed and you're effectively moving material, but you still got enough torque that you're moving material. And with that high-speed dozer, about the only thing I could ever think of that you'd really want to use that thing to its full potential is if you were grading out stone in a giant parking lot and you had GPS rolling on it. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, that thing's moving so fast, you're not going to be able to keep up with your hands. So you'd almost have to have GPS or some sort of a laser grade system on it. And even then, you're not going to be able to push a ton of material because you're carrying so much speed. So I never really understood the problem that they were solving with that machine, if that makes sense. Does Volvo make more money selling their cars or heavy equipment? I have no idea, Jackson. I don't know. Can't help but laugh at the dealership question. Yes. How many Case 580SL? I have no idea how many 580SLs. You'd have to talk to Case about that. What happened to traxcavators? The Cat 977, 973 is rare to see nowadays. Versus dozers, excavators, even backhoes. So the 973, are you talking like the track loaders? Because those are still around. You only see them in certain parts of the country. So they're really popular, kind of in the middle band. So the Carolinas, Tennessee, getting over into Kansas, Nebraska, you'll still see track loaders all over the place. You get down into Texas, you see a lot of track loaders. They're just not really good in the north because of the soil conditions, which even there, I think it's malarkey that they're not good in our soil conditions. If you can run a wide track dozer in our soil conditions, you should be able to run a track loader, is my personal opinion, whatever. Anyway. Colton Farm, JJ got 931. Ooh, M. Miller. Merrick, what's happening, man? Really like the video you put out on 2D machine control, very educational. Got my boss to watch too. Hey, that's awesome, man. I'm happy to hear that what I'm doing, which by the way, if you guys aren't familiar with what Merrick was referencing there with the 2D video, that's over on the channel is Equipment World, and that's the show that I host, The Dirt. I did 2 episodes on 2D machine control. So all that to say, that's what he's referencing. But I'm thrilled to death that gave you some real information that you guys can take and apply to your job site. That thrills me to death. So awesome. Thank you for letting me know that. That's really great. Does Volvo still make backhoes? That's a good question. I don't know if they still make backhoes. Carbox, thank you. I appreciate it. I will be honest, no home design, no home decorator. My wife didn't help with this. This is 100% me being a man in construction that threw this background together. I really appreciate that because I was quite proud of it when I got it put together. So thank you. I do appreciate it. Let's see here. Would you rather operate a JCB or a Bobcat? I don't know. Is it open cab and closed cab? I don't know. I think, which dumpster do you want to eat food out of? Like, that's the question I'll pose to you. Which one do you like better? This dumpster over here or this dumpster over here? So there you go, Brandon. Ooh, Ryan. Ryan's throwing it down. Nick, do you have a JCB tramp stamp? If not, maybe we should do some sort of bet on this channel where if Nick loses, he has to get a JCB emblem as a tramp stamp. Ooh, that would get some views, I think. John Deere 870G is a nice rig. Older 750s, not so much. Okay. So that's when you start getting into those size, like that's where I feel like you can really form an honest opinion about some of these pieces of equipment. Construction Simulator 2 is on PC. I don't know. I may go do some homework. We may play around. I don't know. We'll see. Josiah, run a John Deere 380 sometimes, and the swing motor is extremely rough, and the hydraulics are very independent of each other in a way that the boom takes from the stick and the stick takes it. So that sounds like a valving issue. Some of the older machines, they just, for whatever reason, they weren't as efficient on the hydraulics. I don't know. I'm not familiar enough with that model. It sounds like an older model. But yeah, I hate running machines that are like that, where you really have to think about what you're doing so that you don't rob too much hydraulic power. Nuki like Gucci, not Nookie. Oh, Nucci, not Nuki. I kind of like the Nuki. Oh yeah, we just said that. We went full on Limp Bizkit there for a second. Thanks, Ron. I appreciate it. So Ron, Nucci, like the handbag. Got it. And I apologize for botching your name. It's better if you let him shout it out. Generally, I get out. Carbox, 19 viewers and only 9 likes. The math don't add up. You know, Carbox, I'm with you, man. I'm not gonna sit here and pine over likes, and I'm not going to sit here and ask for them. But I do agree. It is awful light on the likes, ladies and gentlemen. Come on now. Anyways, back at it. Boy, there's a lot of chat going on because I'm so far back in the comments. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I don't get uncomfortable, Ryan. Well, I take that back. Nick did it was Brandon. Brandon tried to make me uncomfortable, and at one point succeeded that one night, but I don't even remember what it was that we were talking about that he managed to make me uncomfortable. Anyway, August Rains, you pour concrete for a living. I'll tell you right now why you ended up here is because you hate pouring concrete because it's terrible, awful, god-awful work, and you should get into operating heavy equipment. And you wanted a foot into the door of this world of air-conditioned cabs and not having to deal with heat. And that's how you ended up here. And you're welcome. You are welcome. So, let's see here. I thought the thong or dirt hole got him uncomfortable. That's right. The thong so much didn't. It was the dirt hole. That's what it was. You were talking about your wife's dirt hole and referencing something else, and all of it together sounded very dirty. That's what it was. Josiah Lever Monkey just compared. August is coming out guns a-blazing. Most of the operators I know are fat. Well, so is your mom. So I'm sorry. That was rude. I'm sorry. No, a lot of operators are fat because we sit in a cab all day and we get bored and then we eat, and that adds up very quickly. So if you don't want to be a fat operator, you do have to. I will say this 100% honest. If you don't want to be a fat operator, you will put effort in on that. Like, that is something you have to work at. I've had to work my entire career at not just chowing down whenever I get bored while I sit my ass in the seat of my excavator. So, yes. Let's see here. Boom. I was here a couple of weeks ago, going to my 3rd week of heavy equipment operator college. Okay, so first of all, thanks for coming back. I mean, clearly we did something right to get you back out here, Steeler Thug. And how is your heavy equipment school going? Just out of curiosity. Are you getting a lot of seat time? What kind of topics are you covering? Are they letting you get any real kind of experience, like digging pipe or anything like that? Give us a little flavor of your world right now. Merrick was sold on 2D long ago, but I'm not fronting the money for it, and the video covered lots of ways it pays for itself that I hadn't even thought of. That's awesome. So I will say that is one thing that came out of those interviews I was really excited about, is talking about the different, not only the ways that it will pay itself back, but just how quickly it will pay itself back. And that was, so that you guys know, that interview was 100%, like, we had questions that we knew we were going to cover, but the actual dialogue back and forth was totally unscripted. And my guess was that those systems paid themselves back in about a year. So he blew my mind when he told me generally on the first job they paid themselves back. That was genuine surprise on my part. So let's see here. You're the first dude I started watching before getting into operating. Thanks for everything. Absolutely, Coglers. I think that's right, Coglers. Absolutely. I appreciate you watching. This whole channel is for you guys. Otherwise, I've said this before, otherwise I would be sitting in this room with lights all over the place, talking into a camera by myself for no reason whatsoever. So I really do appreciate you guys watching the channel. And likewise, I offer this to everybody. You know, over here you're going to notice my email address scroll. If any of you guys have any questions that I can help you with on getting into the industry, on questions on how to operate, or like, you know, anything, what you should do with your career, I've helped coach guys, and you are more than welcome to shoot me a message, and I will do my best to get you an answer, or at least help you in some way. So don't hesitate to reach out. Yeah, Ryan, it was the girlfriend's dirt hole. We were talking about the dirt hole, and he was talking about something going in the dirt hole, and, you know, the whole thing, it got out of hand rather quickly, and I didn't know how to shut it down appropriately. So, let's see here. Yeah, August, see, I see right through you. I know why you're here. You're not here to call us all fat operators. You're here because you're jealous. So, let's see here. Josiah, see, back and forth, go to the gym. You know, Jackson, I did go to the gym for a while, and then I found that the gym made me not enjoy working out, because I sat and watched all the super skinny people, or these guys that were bench pressing more than I'll be able to bench in my life, and it just made me more depressed about my situation. So now I sit and quietly lift weights in my basement while I bask in depression. So I'm just kidding, I'm not depressed, it's fine. I love lifting weights in my basement. It's anyway. Hey, there you go. We've won August over because I made a joke and I called his mom fat. So I think we should shut it down tonight. We got a new subscriber, and I did it by insulting his mother. That is a win. That is a win, guys. So, Josiah, do you watch I can't talk, I'm sorry. Do you watch Let's Dig 18? 100% yes. Not as much as I would like to, because I'm busy doing all of this stuff. But I do try to follow some of his projects and stay on top of things. But yes, he's got a great channel. He is a fantastic operator. He's really enjoyable to watch. Josiah, you and me both. I have learned so much from watching Chris. In fact, all of my tree work that I've ever done in an excavator, it's all from watching Chris do it, and then I'm like, I could do that. I can go do that. Okay. So, all right, Jackson, have a good evening, man. Good to see you. That's, yeah, what Ryan said is 100% true. Like, watching those sort of channels, that's why I've been promoting Shane's channel, which, by the way, Lever Monkey, if you guys didn't go follow him 2 weeks ago when he was on, you should go follow him, because same reason I promote him. If you want to learn about underground, if you want to go learn about underground, you go watch Lever Monkey. Sorry, guys, it's been a long weekend. If you want to go learn underground, go watch Lever Monkey. If you want to go learn how to dig ponds, how to knock over trees and not kill yourself, you go watch Chris. I mean, he's just a phenomenal operator. He knows, I've talked about it before, when it comes to getting down in mucky ponds and getting out on mats and knowing when you're safe and when you're about to lose a machine, there is not a better operator you can watch who knows exactly where that limit is and exactly where he needs to be careful. Yeah, he is a fantastic education. So, Sean, there's a lot of truth to that. There have been multiple times in my career where I have kind of thought about going back into just laboring so that I could get back in shape. But at the same time, these are some of, and this is something that Brandon and I have talked about before, at some point here when I get some time to breathe, I would like to start some sort of kind of a health challenge for operators to all participate in. And that is one of the things that you can do, is just make a conscious decision to every day get out of your cab and go help, like, find some meaningless task. It doesn't matter what it is, where your labor is just shoveling some stone for a minute, and go offer to help him out, or flat out go offer to take his shovel out of his hands for him, and you go do it for a minute. And it's not for the sole purpose of being a good guy. Excuse me, it's for the purpose of getting your heart rate up and actually burning some calories off. You know, making a point to get in and out of your machine a dozen times or so a day. Make an effort to actually, whether you have a reason to or not, get in and out of your machine, because you're working your legs getting into the machine, you're working your arms, you're working your core muscles, like you're really engaging a lot of muscles doing that. So if you can do that more than once or twice a day when you gotta pee, like really that's kind of the equivalent of walking up a flight of stairs, but you're also using your upper body too. You can work a lot of muscles doing that. It's just making conscious decisions to do that. Likewise, it's making conscious decisions that when you load up your lunchbox in the morning, you don't fill it with a bunch of garbage and a bunch of Monsters and Mountain Dews and all that stuff. You pack water, you pack some vegetables, you pack some healthy snacks to eat. And it's okay to have a little treat here and there, but when your entire lunch is filled with little treats all day, that's when it really gets out of hand quick. So let's see here. Lots of seat time. We're digging 30-foot long trenches. 80% of class time is on a machine, 20% in class. We also get in front loaders, Bobcats. That's awesome, Steeler. So it sounds like that's actually a halfway decent program, because a lot of those programs you're getting like 30 or 40% seat time, and it's really pitiful. So I'm happy to hear that you're in a good program. So that's awesome. Sorry, I'm catching up here. So is Volvo winning a limo? Oh, I didn't get a chance to watch the video where that happened, but I did see that his machine went in a limp mode and he was having some issues with it, but it is what it is. Oh yeah, Ryan, so anytime you go from one set of controls to another set of controls, it makes for a very frustrating, irritating day. So it doesn't surprise me a bit that he was frustrated in that video. So Josiah, you know, I don't know if you're aware of this, but that's how boxers lose all their weight, is when they're super hot, they sweat it all out, and you can drop like 5 pounds. You could easily drop 5 pounds in a day. So you should be opening that door and just sweating it out, my man. You lose a lot of weight. That's a good way to go. Yeah, so exactly, Shane. Get out of your cab and carry some pipe around. I used to do that too. It rolls the edge drain. I'd roll those around. You know, if they needed a couple more sticks of PVC, I'd just physically go grab them for them. I'd help the guys point manholes from time to time. Like, there's a variety of things that you can do where and it doesn't have to be get out of your cab for 20 or 30 minutes at a time. What you have to remember is getting your heart rate up for even 2 or 3 minutes here and there throughout the day, 10 or 15 times, that adds up. Those calories add up, especially if you can start doing some sort of something where you're lifting some weight. So not sitting down in a gym and physically lifting weights, but if you can lift weight to where you know you're going to be sore the next day, what's happening is you're physically ripping muscle tissue, and your body has to fix that, which means your metabolism goes up, and it stays up for like 2 or 3 days after you've done some weightlifting that you're sore afterwards. So if you can get out and help carry around concrete bags or carry around some sticks of pipe where you know you're going to be sore afterwards, that actually helps you over 2 or 3 days to burn more calories. Now, the flip side of that is that doesn't mean you can eat 5 times as much. You have to keep your food in check. But it's not like you have to go get on the end of a shovel for an hour a day in order to have any meaningful impact to your health. It doesn't take that long, and you can do it in short bursts throughout the day. It's just getting your heart rate up and then keeping your diet in check. Health is something that I Brandon and I have talked about before. It's something that I would like to talk about on the channel at some point in time, probably over the winter. That would be a good one where I'm not in the field and I can actually sit here and we can kind of talk about some different things. But health is a really, really major issue in this industry, because I'm sorry, I've already forgot his name. Who was it that said that? Even August. What August said is true. Most operators are fat, and if they're not fat, they're at least out of shape. And it's just because by nature you sit on your ass all day, and that's how you perform your work. So it takes a lot more mindfulness to actually stay healthy in this industry. Let's see here. Carbox 19 with no job, would like to be an operator but really know nothing about it, so I don't know what to do. How could I become an operator? How long would it take, and how could I prepare? So if you don't know anything about it, if you don't have any skills, Carbox, what I would say is go try to hire on as a laborer somewhere. Instead of trying to make the jump straight into the seat, go get on somewhere as a laborer and start learning the ropes. And very easily, if you started a small to mid-sized company, and you actually have, good work ethic, which I'm assuming you do, you can easily find yourself in the seat of a machine within 6 months or so and consistently operating within a year. It just depends on the company you work for. That's honestly the best way to get into it, is just go find a company and have them train you on the fly. Most companies prefer training a new hire with no experience with good work ethic over hiring an experienced operator with low work ethic. They don't mind putting in the time to train you if you can show them that their investment is worth it. So that is the best way to get into the industry. As far as finding a job, a week or two, in all honesty, and I even think that that's being pretty conservative. I think you could honestly find a job within a couple days of applying. The industry is just hurting for people that bad. So if you're proactive, you tell them you want to operate, but you don't mind starting on the end of a shovel and laboring, that's telling them right there that you're worth some time, because you're not one of these guys that expects to be in an air-conditioned cab, or else I'm not going to do it. So advice to someone who plans to make their own heavy equipment business. JJ, I will just say, don't bite off more than you can chew. Honestly, if you're, a great way to start out is just rent a machine here and there when you need it and kind of work your way into it. But don't get yourself into a situation to where you are totally underwater on loans and you are just, all of your paycheck is going to pay off equipment. The other piece of advice I can tell you is when you hire your first employee, which will most likely be pretty quick, because this is unfortunately an industry that's hard to do by yourself, make sure that you really spend some time vetting that person and you trust that person, because that is the only other person in your company. And if you get some guy that doesn't really care, he's going to cost you a lot of money in damages. He's going to kill your rapport with your customers, and he's going to make your life miserable. So those are kind of the two best pieces of advice I can give you. Ryan, when I was on a landfill job, I was getting out of the machine to help the guys pull water hose around in the wet clay. Not as fun as sitting in the machine, but you do what you have to do. Absolutely. And it's one of those things, it's kind of like I tell my kids, which if for those of you who don't have kids yet, you'll find that it's interesting, because a lot of the lessons that you are teaching your kids, you kind of go, there's a lot of adults that can use this. And one of those is, it's all about your attitude. So if you kind of take the attitude, and that water line is a perfect example. If you take the attitude of, this is going to suck, it's going to be miserable and terrible, you're going to get out of your cab and you're going to be miserable, it's going to be terrible, and you're going to hate your life. Versus if you go, you know what, I'm going to get out of the cab and I'm probably going to get muddy, but at the same time I'm going to get my heart rate up. I'm going to go out there and get some physical exercise. It'll kind of wake me back up, because we all know that sitting in the AC in that cab, you kind of get into the humdrum mode. Look at it that it's going to wake you up and you're going to get a good workout in. Attitude is everything. You're not going to have a miserable time, because you set out to accomplish something, and you know that even though you're getting muddy and it's hot, you're accomplishing the goal that you set out to do. So it's, a lot of it's attitude. Ron, yes, Chris Let's Dig in Raleigh, about 45 minutes north of us. He did a pond job for me. I couldn't do. Super nice guy. Hey, kind of like me. I'm all about that. So you are from North Carolina. Gotcha. Okay. So, that is one of the funny things about the whole YouTube thing, is there does tend to get this feel of stardom to a lot of these guys. And it's, at the end of the day, that's the funny thing about Chris, is of all of the YouTubers, I feel like Chris is the one where I go, I could totally just go hang out with that guy. Like, he's super down to earth. Frank over there at Diggin' OK is the same way. Like, just a super nice guy. I could totally go have a beer with him and just be comfortable and be myself, and like, there's not any, I don't think there'd be any weirdness or arrogance there. So I guess that's really what I'm going for. There's no arrogance with Chris, even though he's got 300 something thousand subscribers or something. I don't remember what his number is, but like, there's just no arrogance there whatsoever, which is awesome. So, but thanks for the compliment, Ron, by the way. I should say thank you. Josiah, unfortunately, Volvos go into limp mode more often than I would like it, and it's usually a DEF issue. So if it's that consistent that many people are having issues with it, I would say, that is a strike against Volvo, because as we've talked about before on this channel, uptime is everything, and if your machine is not staying up, you need to switch over to a different manufacturer. So, Shane, kids make fun of me, but I'm a rock wrapped in a marshmallow. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, deep below the surface of this gelatinous mass, I am rock hard. Yes. Ear iron, DEF systems are a killer for every machine. Honestly, after treatment in general, but like I was saying earlier, of all of the after treatment options out there, DEF is the lesser evil. DPF filters are way more problematic. You look at it this way. With a DEF system, you don't have to worry about your machine catching on fire. With a DPF, it gets hot enough that if you get some debris back in there, whether you're mulching, we actually had a lot of issues with dairy farmers because they feed with hay and everything. They had a ton of issues with machines burning up because the DPF would catch the straw and stuff on fire, and by the time you notice it, you turn around and it's a wall of flames behind you. You can't salvage the machine. My first equipment sale, believe it or not, when I was selling equipment, was a brand new 721 loader to a farm who had just had their old one burn up because of a DPF fire. So August, yes, work ethic is everything in this industry. If you can show up, stay off of your phone, and show them that you can work and you're not constantly asking about quitting time, 100%. You can just about write your own ticket with just that right there. It doesn't matter how much you screw up. I mean, to an extent that it does, it does. But they are far more forgiving of someone making a mistake when you put in the time and the hard work, and then when they correct your mistake, instead of crying or quitting or running off the job, you say, okay, I'll do it right the next time. You're gonna go far in this industry. Bravo 9. Removing DEF systems kill just as many machines. Current company bought a bunch, used Bell Rock trucks that constantly throw codes all day. It's one of those things, if you're going to delete the after treatment system, you have to go through a reputable vendor that really knows what they're doing. A lot of guys that I see that do these deletes will go in and snip some wires, and then they put a little jumper cable here, and boom, you're good to go. Well, no, you're not. In fact, a prime example, I had one of my contractors that I sold equipment to, that constantly came in and talked about how he would delete all the after treatment off his machines. So I started getting into it with him one day of how he actually did it. And it turns out he did all of the programming stuff, but he didn't actually remove the DPF from the exhaust flow. So now not only are you still choking off your exhaust, but now you're just putting all of that soot into that DPF filter. And by the way, the best part of this was, he said it's great because when I go to sell the machine, I just hook everything back up and it's going to be good to go and I can sell it. And I cannot tell you how dumb that is, because you're still running all of that soot through your DPF, but now you're not cooking it off. So you're just clogging the DPF to the point that you're going to have to go buy a DPF when you sell the machine. And those suckers are like $12,000 to $15,000 because they're full of a bunch of precious metals. You can't just, it's not like you blow it out with the air compressor. They have specialized machines that salvage some of the DPF filters. The rest of them, they aren't salvageable. So all that to say, when you're doing a delete of any kind, go through someone who knows what they're doing and they're going to do it right. And it's possible to do it, and you come out with a lot more horsepower. Your machine has a lot more balls to it, but you got to do it the right way. Many company hire non-operators as operators all the time. They just don't. Yep. So not only if it doesn't end in an accident, you're going to end up, it's going to cost the company a ton of money, because if you don't know what you're doing, that's when you make a ton of mistakes, and then someone's got to go correct all those mistakes. That's I would say that's more frequent. What we ran into is you got the guy, oh yeah, I can finish great. I'm a great finish dozer operator. The place I left was begging me to stay, and I told him I wasn't going to have it. And then sure enough, he gets out there and it looks like a motocross track by the time he's done doing his finish grade. You've got to pay a second operator to go out there and fix all that. So ultimately, it just costs the companies a lot of money. When we stripped forms for a day, my cousin's kid, who was 4, was collecting steaks the whole time. He worked harder than most adults. Dude, that's awesome. I love it when kids get out there and just work, and they don't complain, they don't cry, and yet there's grown men on the other side of the job that are complaining and crying. Nothing satisfies me more than that. It's awesome. Pinehurst, North Carolina. You know what? I'm going to look that up and see where that's at. Pinehurst. Not Hertz. Hurst, North Carolina. Doom, 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 doom. I need to come down to North Carolina. It is beautiful down there, and I have no reason to come to North Carolina. So we may have to become better friends so that I can come see you, so I can take advantage of your beautiful location. I'm just kidding. I'll come to see you. In fact, I'm going to travel at some point this winter to do some more operating around the country, because that's what I do in the wintertime. Maybe you can be one of my stops. If you're up for that, let me know. Let's see here. Where are we at? Here, most people begin with a dump truck, a trailer, small size used dozer, and a backhoe. Yep, that's a pretty common starting point. Either that, or you'll start off with like a pickup truck and a mini, or a pickup truck and a skid. That's another good starting point where you can get into doing driveways, some small land clearing jobs. You can buy a mulch head for it, for your skid steer, and you can get your foot in the door that way before you kind of purchase your next bigger piece of equipment, which I would generally say is either going to be like a 315 excavator or like a D3, D5 dozer, somewhere in there. And that'll get you into some of the bigger jobs where you really start to bridge into the dirt world. So it depends on what route you're going. How much money you have to invest up front obviously plays a big part into it. So Sean, I think that Volvo's problem is with the tier 3 region. Vintage machines. I had 5 machines down on one job one time because 3 different manufacturers, all because of the emissions. Yeah, emissions are just, they're rough. You know, these engines don't burn clean, and the government wants it to be super clean. And unfortunately, that means you're going to sacrifice on performance, you're going to sacrifice on uptime, and it is what it is. So necessary evil of the industry, unfortunately, now. And I do miss, there's nothing I miss more than hearing a 345 screaming across the job site because that turbo's whistling so loud. I was just, everything about those machines screamed power when you heard them across the job site, and those days are gone. Now you get this like goofy choked off sound that the 349s make that sounds like they're missing or something. Like the first time I got around one of the 349, I think it was the E series, I thought there was something wrong with it, to the point that I called a mechanic. And he's like, nope, we did the same thing when we had our first 349 out here. We called CAT and we had them come out and they said, nope, it's supposed to sound like that. So it is what it is. We're all stuck with it. So Josiah, yes, it's a mark against Volvo, but it operates so much faster than anything else we have. It loads trucks so much faster. So yeah, Josiah's just in here. I think it's a Volvo plant. Josiah's probably not even a person. I think he's a robot that was just put in here by Volvo to pitch Volvo, because he's really making me want to go operate a Volvo. So local Volvo dealership, Alta Equipment, I'm looking at you. You need to call me and get me into the seat of a Volvo so I can actually review your Volvo equipment. Hey Ryan, thanks for hanging out, man. Appreciate it. You have yourself a lovely evening. We're only going to go for another 20 minutes anyways, so you're not going to miss a whole bunch. Let's see here. Almost missed the live stream. Time zone change got me messed up. Andrew, thanks for hanging out, man. Appreciate it. It's been a while now that I think about it. I don't think I've seen you for a month or so. I don't know. When was the last time you were in here? I am not working out of town. I am in the home studio tonight. Last week I was in Texas celebrating my parents' 40th anniversary. So I was out of town but not working. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at here. I think Rick has a bunch of jobs lined up for me, so it doesn't sound like I'm going out of town anytime soon here. I'll probably be in town for the next month or two before we decide to do something out of town. So we'll see. Merrick, can you talk about why LGP dozers generally have a wider blade, like a D5 versus a D5 LGP? Yeah, the honest truth is, you're gonna feel dumb when I say it, because I felt dumb the first time someone said it to me, because I asked the same question. It's to cover the track base. Like, that's the simple answer, is if you kept the regular standard width blade on an LGP machine, the tracks would actually overhang your blade width, and you wouldn't be able to grade the full width of the machine, so your tracks would not be riding on the grade that you've established. And so that's the short answer of why the blades are wider, is because they have to cover that track base. So I know that's a super simple answer. I felt absolutely dumb the first time I asked it. I was like, oh, it's so obvious, and yet I totally missed it. So, we're pumping up the Volvo squad over here. It's like a bunch of cheerleaders. Boy, we got Ryan going, we got Andrew going, Josiah's, obviously the bot, everybody. Yeah, wow. So you're down in Georgia working on the railroad. So what are you doing, Andrew? Just out of curiosity. So Georgia, you're in my time zone. So where are you from originally? I forget. The new EC 550? No, I don't believe I've seen that. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go take a gander at that. So Volvo EC 550. You know what? I'll even let you guys take a gander with me here. Oh, I don't know why hang on guys, let me fix my browser window here. So dumb that it does this. Just give me a second. Let's see if we can stretch it. I gotta remember which key I have to hit to make it go and do what I want. We can stretch it. Is that gonna look goofy for you guys? Tell me if that looks good. I'm sorry guys, I'm sorry. Oh, 50 tonner. Yes, got cookies. Same performance expected from a 60-ton machine, making it the perfect choice for heavy-duty digging, mass excavation, and large site prep. Boasting superb operator comfort, outstanding levels of uptime. So maybe they fixed your def issue. Probably not. New generation electro hydraulics, so it is EH controls. 20% increase in productivity, 25% improvement in fuel. That's a pretty substantial increase in fuel efficiency. So interesting. I had not seen that. It looks like they're going with the oops, what did I just do? Sorry guys. It looks like they're going with the iPad tablet for a screen in the cab too, which is what pretty much everyone's going to. That's pretty nice. Andrew, replacing stringers on bridges, usually working in Nashville, Tennessee, but wherever the money is. I hear that. Nashville, Tennessee, I haven't been there in a while, and I miss Nashville. That's a nice town. I'm originally from Austin. Nashville is like Austin before Austin blew up and got full of Californians. So I have a soft spot for Nashville in my heart. JJ, emissions things really have screwed up the sound of equipment. If there's something I like, the sound of Deere's 450, 550H, J series engines. Yeah, that's the thing. So I do, and I'm totally with you. I do miss the manly, like diesel screaming turbo sound. Now, that being said, I was on a job the other day. It may have been one of the new Volvos. I think it was. And the fact that you were standing 20 feet away from this thing and could barely hear it, like, there is an aspect of that I really do like, that you're not constantly having to wear ear protection. You don't go home hearing your machine Am I the only one that goes home at the end of a long day and you hear your excavator's engine noise when you're falling asleep at night? Like you're back in the cab? Same with backup beepers. I'll randomly hear a backup beeper while I'm falling asleep, and it's like, I don't think that's real. But I do like that aspect of the newer machines being quiet. But I really do miss the screaming turbo. That was just a sound of raw power. Loved it. Used to run Volvo 300 LR with the 62 foot. Woo! That's a freaking long reach, man. Daggum, 62 feet. August got to run. One of my other teachers having Q&A. Love your spirit. Have a good. Hey, thanks for hanging out, August. Appreciate it. Hope to see you on some future live streams here. Josiah, yes, the Volvos are extremely quiet. I've noticed that the new Cats have gotten a lot quieter as well. But yeah, it's the Volvo, whatever Volvo's got going for sound suppression is pretty incredible. Those new excavators are so freaking quiet. So, it's kind of tapering off in here. We were really rolling there for a little bit to where I was having a hard time keeping up, and now everyone's kind of tapered off. I don't know what the deal is. So, upcoming projects. If you guys aren't familiar, there's a company called iDig. They make, it's not true machine control. It's an indicate only system for excavators and dozers. And I actually have gotten into contact, he got into contact with me, one of the sales guys from iDig. We have a basement and engineered septic job coming up here probably in the next month that the iDig guy has agreed to come out and let us put one of his systems on our machine for 2 days just to test it out and kind of review it on the channel here. So I'm excited about that. I'm also excited I have established a relationship with AIS, which is a local dealer here that sells both John Deere and Komatsu, along with some, like a bunch of attachments. I've started a relationship with those guys, and hopefully in the near future here, I'm going to start having some cool stuff on like 2D grade boxes, maybe some stuff on how to use a total station and what all is involved with that. Just kind of different things along that avenue. And then hopefully I'm going to get into some 3D machine control stuff with their TopCon, because they're a TopCon dealer. So yeah, really exciting relationships are starting to develop behind the scenes now. So stay tuned on all of that. I'm quite excited. Dan B, what do you think the most versatile piece of equipment is for starting out in the excavation land clearing business? That's a hard one to say, because I go back and forth between a skid steer and a mini excavator. And when I say mini excavator, I don't mean a little one. I mean like probably a 5-ton machine, maybe getting up into the almost 6-ton machine. And the reason I go back and forth is it really depends on your, I guess, what your goals are. So if you're wanting to do more grade work, then I would push you a little more towards the skid steer. If you're wanting to get into more digging work, like doing trenching or digging footers or eventually digging some basements or small ponds, stuff like that, then I would push you towards the mini excavator. Both are capable of running a mulch head on it so that you can do your land clearing. The skid steer, in my opinion, has got a little more versatility there just because of the sort of attachments that you can throw on it. So you could do the stump grinder, you can do a tree shear, you could get into a Harley rake so that you can actually finish the site, versus with the skid steer, with the mini excavator, you're going to be stuck with your blade and you're going to have to kind of grub everything off with your blade and then bury it, or however you want to take care of that. So I would really bounce between those two machines. If you were going to pick one machine to start a business with, I would kind of envision the direction you want to go, and then kind of make your choice based off of that. That being said, you can always go rent the other machine. So, Rick is a prime example. Rick owns his skid steer, and he's got all of his attachments for his skid steer, and he's highly versatile in the number of jobs and the kind of jobs he can take on because of those attachments. We still get into a fair amount of excavator work. So what we do is we just go rent an excavator. And the reason he hasn't purchased one yet is because we do such a variety of jobs. You know, I've been in anything from an E35 all the way up to, we rented a Case 210 for the big lot clearing job that we did. There's been talk of doing a pond later this year, possibly next year, where we might get into like a 330 size machine. So it doesn't make sense to buy an excavator and get locked in to a specific size when we're kind of all over the board. So that's another thing to think about too, is maybe that is the better route, is going with the really, really versatile Swiss Army knife of a skid steer, and then renting any additional equipment you need, because it will allow you to vary your size. JJ, beepings are rare here. People remove it or turn it off. So, you know, that's one of those things where I totally understand why you would do that. I would almost prefer to see people go with one of the white noise backup alarms, just because it is dangerous. People get run over by equipment backing up all the time, and your visibility is always poor to the rear of the machine. So, like I said, I understand why people do it, but that one I kind of go back and forth. Oh yeah, Merrick, I totally forgot that you're down the road from me and you offered up for me to run that Lee Bear. I do need to come run that Lee Bear. I totally forgot that you guys have that. I've never been in a Lee Bear machine, a true Lee Bear machine before. So maybe as the season, I think I said this last time, I'm kind of getting a memory jog now. As the season winds down, maybe I'll take a trip down there, because you're in central Ohio, right? Just outside Cambridge, if I remember right. So I need to get down there. Gabriella, how's it going? Thanks for showing up to the live stream. I appreciate it. Andrew, agree with you, Josiah. I used to run an American 52.99 with a Detroit. Oh, Detroit. You want to talk about bursting your eardrums? Those things are freaking awesome, but good God, are they loud? They're so loud. Lee Bear dozers are extremely rare. Never seen one up close. JJ, I'm in the same boat. I've never seen so I saw an old 80s dozer that was a Lee Bear rebadged as a John Deere, because John Deere didn't make the dozer in this size. It was like a D7 or a D8 equivalent. That's the only Lee Bear I've ever seen here in the US. E. Ryan, I will say Cat makes the best bulldozer, and I will say you are wrong. There. We can say what we want, and I just said what I wanted. Case makes a better bulldozer. Ooh. Komatsu makes a better bulldozer. Well, yeah. I don't know. Cat's just not the best. I will say that. Cat is not the best. I will say this. I have not run one of the new XEs, so I'm going to withhold on saying Cat isn't the best, because I've watched other people run XEs, and I have never seen a dozer push like that. So, maybe I need to run an XE before I say anything. But, Sean, Volvo was quiet the whole time. Its Volvo motor runs so nice. I had Ackerman for Volvos. Probably no one even knows what that is. Same motor. Gotcha. Really like ours 2017 716 LGP compared with the 1150 case on the same job. Really? So you're out pushing the 1150. Now you're really intriguing me, because the 1150 in their entire lineup, is it the 1150 or the 1650? I think it's the 1150 is actually a bit overpowered. They put a little bit bigger engine in it than other dozers in that weight class, and so it pushes like a beast. So now you're really piquing my interest about running that Lee Bear. Carbox, is there any curve to adapting to the heat and hard labor, or will you always... Sorry guys, I got a hair in my mouth. It's driving me nuts. I hate that. It's so irritating, and you look retarded the whole time you're trying to deal with it. I'm sorry. No energy. Done some sod mulch work, don't like it. A little of both, Carbox. It's always, when you first get out into the heat, it's a pretty good shock to your system. You do kind of have to work up a little bit of a tolerance to it, so it will get a little bit better. But that being said, like, at the end of the day, you're like, heat sucks. Like, being out in the heat just sucks, and you're always gonna, like, it's gonna sap you, it's gonna drain you. Now, that being said, one of the things that's kind of along that curve is learning to adapt to it. So you do learn techniques to kind of stay cool, staying on top of drinking water. People say that and you're always like, oh yeah, drink water, whatever. No, legitimately, if you stay up on drinking water, it allows your body to produce more sweat and keep up with the heat a little better. So it is legit. You need to drink a lot more water, and you will find your life gets much easier when you do that. You have a lot more energy. But yeah, I can tell you, coming from Texas, like, to an extent, working in the heat just sucks. It doesn't ever get better. So it gets easier, but it never stops sucking. I'm guessing it also depends on the terrain in your area. Here you have land clearing. You'll probably roll over with a mini and a skid steer. Dozers are mostly used because there's so many slopes and steep. So yeah, I'm sure that's true too. It depends on terrain and and that kind of goes back to the question of what's your ultimate goal. If your ultimate goal is to go clear lots on super steep terrain and do a bunch of steep terrain work, then yeah, you may have to go with a different machine altogether. But I would say, just in general, a skid steer and a mini are going to be the two most versatile machines that you could get right off the bat. So JJ, I will say, and Merrick can confirm this, but I will say most likely the cab is quieter, because that is one thing about, I'm sorry, I got another hair or something itching my nose like crazy. That's why I keep messing with my nose. There's something going on, guys. There's hair everywhere. I don't know what the issue is. Anyway, what was I saying? Case, machines, bulldozers. Yes. The case bulldozers, the one thing that I absolutely do not like about the case machine is the cab is so loud on those machines, like to the point where you almost can't listen to the radio. Like, it's that loud. It is what it is. For how well those machines push, I'm willing to put up with it, because I really like the way they push, especially the newer models. They have done some work on they call it their load management system. Basically, it's like stopping, it's like traction control for your dozer. It's what the new XEs and stuff have that are coming from Cat. But their load management system does a phenomenal job. When you get behind a big pile with that 1150 or 1650, it almost feels like the machine squats down and gets heavier, because you hit the pile and there's like this second of hesitation, and then it just starts pushing, and you don't get the track spin because the load management is taking over. So they're phenomenal pushing machines, and I'll put up with it, but the cabs are effing loud. Deere makes the best dozer for finish grading. Yeah, see, Tim, I gotta disagree there. So I will say this: I only ran, I think it was the 700K, 750K, I don't remember which. And I was totally unimpressed with that machine. It fell on its face. It graded okay, but it had no power whatsoever. So, but Case, Komatsu, Cat have all outperformed that Deere that I ran, and I've way preferred grading in the Komatsu and the Deere. I'm sorry, the Komatsu and the Case over the Deere. I'd take a D6T over a Deere. So, and in all honesty, I would take one of the new D6Ks over the Deere. I ran a D6K when I was out in Minnesota, which, if you don't follow the vlog channel, click down below in the description and go follow my vlog channel, and that's where I actually operate equipment. I've moved all of those over to the vlog channel. But all that to say, on my vlog channel, when I was out in Minnesota, I ran one of the new D6Ks, and that was a nice grading machine. It didn't have any pushing power behind it, but it was a really nice grading machine. See, Josiah just totally contradicted what I just said. I was not impressed with the 700K. I thought it way underperformed the D6K. Or was it a 750? I don't remember. Whichever one it was the equivalent size machine to a D6K, and the D6K was pushing circles around that Deere. 103 there, daggum. That's why I don't miss living in the freaking South at all. Like, you're in Southern California. I was down in Central Texas, which is, I'd have to look at a map, but I think you're pretty close to the same parallel there. And it's same. When we were down in Texas this past week for my parents' anniversary, it was right around 102 the whole time we were down there. Just stifling heat. All right, Merrick, you're really selling the Lee Bear. I'm gonna have to come down there and try out that Lee Bear, guys. Maybe when the season slows down, if you guys still have some work rolling, I could come down there and give you some free operator time, and in return you let me run that Lee Bear. So we're gonna start wrapping this up, guys. I'm sorry, I know some of you just arrived, but the goal was to be out by 9, and it is 8:58, so we're going to begin the process of wrapping this up. So, that's a good point, Merrick. So if it's got LGB tracks and the other one didn't, that will smoothen out the ride a fair amount. So, but you're going to get more track wear out of the LGPs than you will a regular wide track machine. So there is a trade-off there. But anyway, I believe we should have a live stream next week. I don't think I've got anything else on my... In fact, I'm just going to flat out look at my calendar right now, because I don't think I've got anything. Yeah, I don't have anything going on. So we will have a live stream next week. Hopefully I won't be as frazzled at the beginning, because I will not have just thrown everything together. But yeah. Yes, Sean, 100%. You just hit the machine that I have actually been going nuts over since I got back from Minnesota. The 61 PXI is a freaking beast, and it really grades nice. I was thrilled to death with that machine when I ran it out there in Minnesota. 100%. So, oh, okay, so that takes the LGP tracks out of play. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. So, Shane, good to see you, man. Everybody have a good day at work tomorrow. I appreciate you hanging out this evening, and we will catch you guys next weekend on the live stream. You guys have a good week.